students, good morning. Students of 9th standard English medium, let's, after little pause, we meet again. Students, I have already told that this is the time of COVID-19, so we all have to maintain social distance. And another thing is that with social distance, we have to maintain to protect ourselves from COVID-19. So I hope you all well at home. Students, with the means of this video, I am going to teach you Sanskrit subject standard 9 English medium part 2. Part 1 we learnt, and now today part 2. Okay. Chapter 4 Vallabhi Vidhyasthanam. Students, I already told in last sessions that before we learnt any new topic, we have to little bit revise what we learnt in last session. Students, in last session we learnt in first para that at present time and in the past, at present times there are many universities which are very famous, and students one who are getting admission in these types of universities and feel themselves as lucky one. Same way, students, in ancient time, means in long ago too, there were many famous universities. Students at that time also got admission in famous universities and believe themselves as lucky one. Another we learnt in first para that same way in our India at that time there were many famous universities, and from them there is one Vallabhi University. Its name was very famous at that time. Another thing is that Magad, it was very famous at that time. Magad Rajya Nalanda was very famous. Magad Rajya Nalanda was very famous, and in Gujarat this university Vallabhi Vidhyapith means Vallabhi University was very famous. Okay, students, this is the concept of first para, and last concept of first para is now or today also in Gujarat state in Bhavnagar there is one small town named Vallabhi. It is very famous. Now today if you will go there, then only you will see remains of Vallabhi University, remains only, students, means avshesh. It is not present at this time. Now what we learned in another thing, we learned that Jainism and Buddhism in second para. In fact, if you will see at that time it was the center of teaching and learning. Okay, so that's why at that time minimum 18 languages taught. How many languages? 18 languages taught at that time. In those languages, if you will see, first of all 18 Vidya, which are they? Listen, first one is 4 Vedas, then 6 Vedangani, after the Nyaya, Mimamsa, Smriti, Ayurvedas, Yajurveda and Dhanurveda. After that 4 Upveda also taught in 18 languages. Another we learnt about this Jainism and Buddhism. There was a famous principal named as Skanda Swami. He was very famous at that time. Because of him there was a famous teaching of Vedas. Another Jainism and Buddhism followed by 2 great Acharya, means principal, named as Tirumati Gurumati, and another is Sri Mallavadi Shuri. These 2 are very famous at that time. Another we learnt that students got admission after entrance test. If students pass away entrance test, then easily get the admission. That concept we learned in part number 1. Now today part number 2. Let's open page number 15. Okay, then we will learn. Now first I want to read page number 15 para. Christasya Panchamyam Satabdam. Till this line you have to pay attention. See, लिसन रीडिंग ख्रीस्तस्य पंचम्यं शताब्दम् इदम उपनगरम मैत्रकानां राजधानी आसीत् स्टूडेंट्स मैत्रकानां राजधानी आसीत् मैत्रकानां व्यवस्था अनुसार अध्ययनस्य समान्तरं मैत्रकस्य व्यवस्था अनुसार मीन्स अकॉर्डिंग टू मैत्रक अध्ययन समान्तरं वादसभायाः शास्त्रार्थे भवति स्म ओके शास्त्रार्थे भवति मीन्स वन टाइप ऑफ मीटिंग हैपन शास्त्रार्थे विविधानां मतमतान्तरं खंडन मंडन विमर्शः भवति स्म अनेक अस्मिन् विजयीजनानां पारितोषिकम् अपि भूमिम् अयच्छत् कदाचित् विजयीजनानां नामानि विद्यापीठस्य द्वारे उट्टङ्कितानि अभवन् विद्यापीठ ओके मेन डोर हैपन एट दैट टाइम हिज नेम कार्ड दिस द फर्स्ट पैरा टुडे वी विल लर्न नेक्स्ट ख्रीस्तस्य पूर्व प्रायः पंचम्यां शताब्द्यां भगवतः महावीरस्य जन्मम् अभवत् तस्मिन् काले मीन्स एट दैट टाइम भगवतः महावीरेण यः उपदेशः प्रदत्त सः आगमनाम्नः प्रसिद्धः वर्तते अयम् आगमन मीन्स दिस आगमन वर्षे 500 यावतः मौखिक परंपराः सुरक्षितः आसीतः एवं ही श्रूयते यतः ख्रीस्तस्य तृतीयशताब्द्यां नागार्जुन नाम्नः प्रसिद्धस्य विदुषः अध्यक्षताम् एकां जैनसाधूनां समितिः मिलितः अस्याः आगमग्रन्थानां लेखनस्य प्रस्तावो अभवत् मीन्स मीटिंग हैपन ऑफ जैनिज्म एंड देयर रिटन प्रपोजल हैज बीन पुट अत्र लेखबद्धवाणी वल्लभी वाचा नामना प्रसिद्धः आसीतः मीन्स दिस रिटन लैंग्वेज फेमस बाय द वल्लभी वाचा नाउ लास्ट पैरा सी ख्रीस्तस्य नवम्यं शताब्द्यां वल्लभी विनाशः अभवत् ओके इन 9th century वल्लभी destroyed परंतु तस्य अवशेषाः अद्यापि तस्य समृद्धिः सूचयन्ति ओके एवं भारतस्य प्राचीनेषु विद्याकेन्द्रेषु वल्लभी एकतम आसीत् इतिहासे च एंड अद्यापि वर्तते च ओके दिस द कॉन्सेप्ट रीडिंग ऑफ दिस पैरा नाउ लेट्स सी व्हाट इज देयर इन दिस ख्रीस्तस्य पंचम्यां शताब्द्यां मीन्स इन द 5th century of Isu Christ idam upnagaram means this town Maitrakaanam means the king Maitrak rajdhani asitah means was the capital translate happen like this in the 5th century of Isu Christ this is the capital of Maitraks Maitrakaanam व्यवस्था अनुसार means according to Maitrak व्यवस्था means according to okay अध्ययन समांतरम means after teaching अध्ययन means teaching and अध्य समांतर means after teaching वादसभा means talking means debate शास्त्रार्थे भवति स्म means debate happen according to teaching according to literature means according to Maitrak there was a meeting held in that whatever teaching is there have to discuss as debate शास्त्रार्थे विभिन्नानाः मतमतान्तरं खण्डमण्डनपूर्वकः विमर्शः भवति स्म शास्त्रार्थे विभिन्नाः मीन्स इन दिस मीटिंग देयर वाज हैपन डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ कन्वर्सेशन एंड डिबेट आफ्टर दैट वन डिसीजन हैज बीन टेकन टू इम्प्रूव टीचिंग अनेकेषु विजयीजनानाय राजा पारितोषिकरूपेण भूमिम् अयच्छत् मीन्स इफ एनी स्कॉलर गेव अ ग्रेट सजेशन to improve teaching at that time the king Maitrak gave paritoshikam means prize means gift to him or her kadachit vijay jananam means sometime what happened if people not get any prize from the king then what happened kadachit means sometime vijay jananam namani means a person one who get victory in this debate vidyapithasya dware uttakitani means carving okay writing means sometime if that person not get any land from the king then his name was carving on the main door of the university if main door having of university there his name carving okay students understood this para next see ख्रीस्तस्य पूर्व प्रायः पंचम शताब्द्यां means in the 5th century भगवत महावीरस्य जन्म अभवत् means in the 5th century the great Mahavir was born तस्मिन् काले भगवत महावीरेण यः उपदेशः प्रदत्त सः आगम नाम्ना प्रसिद्ध रिमेंबर एट दैट टाइम Mahavir gave one advice means suggestion and it was famous at that time as agam means it was famous as Agam. Whatever Mahavir Swami gave advice, it was famous as Agam. I am Agam by verse Panchasat. Remember, this advice Agam by verse Panchasat. Panchasat means 500 years. 500 years यावत मौखिक परंपरा सुरक्षित आसीता means it is remember as orally have to remember, not written as. Okay, एवं ही श्रूयते means it is listen that यतः क्रिस्तस्य तृतीय शताब्दां नागार्जुन प्रसिद्धः विदुषः अध्यक्षाम् एकां जैन साधूनां समितिं सज्जात means samiti milita means it is listen that under the leadership of the great person means great scholar named as Nagarjun, one meeting held of Jainism saints means Nagarjun जब था तब उस समय में एक मीटिंग हेल्ड हुई थी ऑफ जैनिज्म मीन्स जैन सेंट जैन सेज साधुओं की एंड अस्य आगम ग्रंथानां लेखन प्रस्ताव अभवत् means in that meeting of Jainism saints the proposal has been put that this agam have to write somewhere, so easily all know what is there in agam. अत्र लेखबद्धवाणी वल्लभी वाचा नामना प्रसिद्ध जाता. अंडरलाइन दिस लाइन, वेरी मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन फॉर बोर्ड एग्जाम. ओके, सॉरी फॉर एग्जाम. अत्र लेखनबद्ध वाणी मीन्स दिस ब्रिटन लैंग्वेज वल्लभी वाचा, इट वॉज फेमस बाय द नेम एज वल्लभी वाचा. ओके, लेखबद्ध वाणी वल्लभी वाचा नामना प्रसिद्ध जाता मीन्स दिस written language was famous at that time as Vallabhi Vacha. So this is the concept of this para. Next para see. Christasya Navamyam Satabdam means in the 9th century Vallabhi Nagarasya Vinasah Bhavat. Vallabhi Nagarasya Vinasah Bhavat. Vallabhi means Vallabhi town. Vinas means destroyed. Abhavat means happened. Means in the 9th century this Vallabhi was destroyed. परंतु तस्य अवशेषः अद्यापि तस्य समृद्धि सूचयति. परंतु बट तस्य अवशेषः मीन्स इट्स रिमेन्स अद्यापि मीन्स टुडे ऑल्सो तस्य समृद्धि सूचयति मीन्स सजेस्टेड इट्स अ प्रॉस्पेरिटी. मीन्स इफ यू विल टुडे गो देयर एंड सी remains of this Vallabhi University, then we can understand how in past this university was. Okay, so parantu tasya avsheshaha adhyapi tasya samruddhi suchayante means, but also today we can also understand what is the value of this university by looking its remains. एवं भारतस्य प्राचीनेषु विद्याकेन्द्रेषु वल्लभी एकतम आसीतः. So at that time in India also in ancient time this is the only one center for the knowledge. Its name was Vallabhi. इतिहासे च अद्यापि वर्तते means it was very famous in इतिहास means history, but today also it is very famous. This is the concept of last para, students. Now if you having any confusion doubt, then let I one time repeat, translate. See, Christasya Panchamiam Shatabdam means in the 5th century of Isu Christ, what happened? There was a capital of Maitrakas. Okay, according to Maitrak, what was there? According to Maitrak, after teaching, one meeting held to improve the teaching method. Okay, and there the debate happened between teachers, and then at last one decision taken to improve the teaching. If any scholar or clever one gave any great suggestion, then he or she got paritoshikam. Paritoshikam means gift from the king, and gift as land also the king offered to that clever one. If land not offered, then what happened? His or her name carving. Carving, that means, you know student, kotar. In Gujarati we can say kotar kaam karna. Okay, okay. So carving means on the main door of university, his or her name carving. That is the concept of this para. Now next para about what? Swami. Okay, Sri Agam. In the 5th century, at last the 5th century is going to end. At that time, there Mahavir Swami was born. Mahavir Swami was given one advice. It was famous by the name Agam. Okay, and this Agam was preserved 500 years on the mouth, and it was famous as the Agam. After that, what happened? In the 3rd century, there was a famous scholar. His name was Nagarjuna. and Naga Arjun was thought that this Agam must have to write, so that all can read properly. So one meeting held under the leadership of Naga Arjun of Jainism saints, and there the decision taken that let's have to write this somewhere, so easily all can get it. Okay, and this written language means Agam when it written, and this written language is famous by the name Vallabhi Vacha. Remember Vallabhi Vacha, firstly 500 years ago it was as only orally. After the meeting held under the leadership of Naga Arjun in the Jainism meeting, at that time what happened, the proposal has been put to write somewhere, so it was famous by Vallabhi Vacha. This is the concept of this para. Now see last para, what is there. In the 9th century this Vallabhi was destroyed. Okay, this Vallabhi was destroyed, but today if you will go there, only you will see their remains, and by looking that remains you can take decision that how the Vallabhi was. Okay, and now today also in India and in ancient time too, this Vallabhi is only the center of knowledge. Okay, and not only in history, today also it is very famous. Students, this is the concept of whatever page number 15 para we learnt. Okay, here I have written some question according to what we learnt. Let's revise little bit. Maitrakaha, who was Maitrak? Okay, someone asked that, who was Maitrak? So Maitrakaha was famous king in the 5th century. Okay, and another, according to, if ask someone according to Maitrak, how the teaching method, according to Maitrak, after teaching must have to do meeting, so easily improve teaching methods. Next, when was Mahavir born? If someone asks from your chapter, when was Mahavir born? Mahavir was born in the 5th century of Isu Christ. Remember 5th century. Okay, when he was born, 5th century. Mahavir advised. Okay, Mahavir gave advice. It was famous by the name Agam, and there was meeting held of Naga Arjun, and decided that we have to write this Agam, and after that it was famous by the name Vallabhi Vacha. Under when Jain meeting was under who the Jainism meeting was held? Now under the great leader named as Naga Arjun, the meeting was held. Vallabhi Vinasa Bhavad. In which century Vallabhi Vinasa Bhavad? So remember in 9th century. Okay, in 9th century Vallabhi Vinasa Bhavad. So this is the concept of this whole chapter, students. So part number 1 and part number 2, let you revise it at home. Little bit I have written what today we learnt. We learnt about Maitrak. After that we learnt that Mahavir Swami.